Hi, this is Beverly with the Intuitive Interior, and it's January 1st, 2025. It's time for your I Ching reading. So now a lot of people are all excited. It's a brand new year, yay! But in Chinese culture, the solar calendar is what governs the start of the Feng Shui New Year, but it's the lunar calendar that governs the start of the Chinese New Year. So technically, we are still in the last little bits of the Yang Wood Dragon year. The Yin Wood Snake year doesn't officially begin until January 29th, but for calculations for the feng shui stuff, we start on February 4th. I know it gets confusing, but that's why you have me to help guide you through the process. So let's get into what we can expect for January of 2025. First of all, this energy reading goes from January 5th through February 2nd. So again, we are kind of in those wonderful, fun little overlapping zones. The yin, let's see, it's the Yin Fire Ox. So many different things going through my brain. But yeah, the Yin Fire Ox is the month energy. That corresponds with the I Ching card number 17. So 17 is called following. Following, this has, it looks like a high status woman with beautiful robes, with her hands folded, with three additional women following behind her. Now, the trigrams on here, on the bottom here, are we've got Zhen, which is Yang wood, and Dui, which on top of that is Yin metal. When you have this combination, of course, that's what makes up the combo for this particular month piece. The words on here are loyalty, adaptability, cooperation, trust, reliability, sensitivity to others, service, and receiving guidance. A little bit of more detail on this is talking about leadership and how I know it says following. So, okay, wait a minute. Where does leadership come into play? But you need to be able to, the best leaders know that they have to inspire their followers, but they also need to be able to follow what they're needing to. So, finding that middle ground where there's that selfless, like servant leadership, that's really the idealized version of the best leader. It says here that the best leaders can keep in mind always that the ultimate goal is to finally set each follower firmly on his or her own path or their own individual course. The process cannot ever conform to a set of uniform rules or guidelines. It has to unfold naturally to meet the unique needs of each individual. But that synchronicity is kind of hard to come by. It's the gathering followers for the sake of expanding one's own personal power and influence is self-aggrandizement of the worst kind. We see a lot of that right now. Cult leaders especially really, they thrive on that. It's like a drug to them. So because this card came up, it's worthwhile of looking around to make sure that the leaders that you're following are worth your devotion. The ideas, the dogmatic principles maybe that you've been, raised with are deserving of a second look, and to see how are you being a good follower, but also how are you being a good leader? Because we all have people that look up to us, that are eager for our input. So, this is a good month to see where you are going in that. It says it requires absolute honesty and sincere self-scrutiny to discern the differences between being swept up emotionally by one's own needs and hearing the voice of sincere inner guidance. The former demands a good deal of enthusiasm to bolster courage. The latter, on the other hand, can feel like water rolling off a duck's back or a kind of inevitability where everything just seems to fit together in a puzzle. It's really tough, though, to know when is it that you have been swept up into this kind of a moment, or whether it is truly you choosing this path. Um, this is, in fact, one of the reasons why I've really focused a lot on teaching classes on energy hygiene. It's a protocol. So let me kind of like circle back a little bit because following is you have to follow your own intuition and your own guidance. When you're able to follow your own intuition and guidance, you're able to know when the enthusiasm that is being generated or the exhaustion and depression is being generated. Is that actually belonging to you, or is that something that is being influenced by other people? When you know what your energy feels like and what other people's energy feels like, then you can make that determination. That's why I am teaching a class on energy hygiene, so that people know how to notice that and disconnect from that. I'm going to have more information below on that particular class that's coming up. Okay, so enough of my little commercial. That is for the overall energy of January. It seems, appropriate, since there's a lot of leaders that are changing in around the world, and people get to decide, is this someone that we can really get behind, or do we need to go a path of our own? Okay, so the next clarifying card that I chose has come up before. It's number 62, small is beautiful. This has on the bottom, we have the Gen, which is the Yang Earth trigram, and then the Zhen again, the Yang Wood trigram. This mountain and thunder, they kind of feel a little volatile, which means that as this number 62 card, it's okay. Let me go back here and look at this. It is like a rising sun with a beautiful little butterfly on this. I don't know what this red line is doing. It's like it's just perched there, and it has some really pretty purple like hyacinths on there. It says, find the extraordinary in the ordinary, keep it simple, use discretion, slow down, tend to details, and pay attention. When this came up, the focus line on this is number 2. The focus lines, when it's the lower 1, 2, or 3, it's more about an internal work. If it's above, that's noticing what's happening on the world around you. This often comes as a kind of a warning, not a warning, encouragement to really go back and focus inside. When things outside feel a little crazy, you can always address your own personal attitude and just the small world and the community that you're around. And here it says, to a certain extent, your hands are tied. Even under the present challenging circumstances, with sensitivity and a positive outlet, all will work out. You may find the results exceed your expectations. This is a symbol is kind of alluding to the month having a lot of precarious feelings. We know that a lot of change is happening. Change, just get used to change in 2025, because once the energy of the snake comes in, there's going to feel like constriction, there's going to be tightness, there's going to be relief as that skin comes off, but also a little bit of vulnerability, because all of a sudden, yes, you've got this beautiful new shiny skin, but it's a little tender. And that breeze feels a little, extra breezy. So, kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to do another video on what to expect for 2025, and I'll go into some more detail on that. So stay tuned. The other thing to look at this card is the admonition that busy is not always the best. That when you start to feel this pull to slow down and to go inside and become more introspective, a lot of times we shame ourselves for that, because no, we have to be productive. We've got to be constantly proving ourselves. This is a good opportunity to just say, okay, yes, I do need to get the things done. There are things that need to be done, but do they all have to be done all at once? Can we pace ourselves? So, again, because, says that there's not a lot of control that we have, do what you can and bless the rest. Okay, the next card, this one actually has not come up before, and I'm excited to share. Not that I'm excited about the message, but hey, it is what it is. This one is called Marrying Maiden. And on the image on here, it appears to be a woman in a beautiful, or the torso of a woman in a beautiful wedding dress, but she has chains crisscrossing over her body and locking her in place. And she's holding a bouquet of vibrant red roses. The trigrams on here on the bottom is Dui, which is yin metal, and Zhen, which is yang wood. The focus line on this one is line 5. So this is external world stuff. A compromising situation, subordination, succumbing to seduction, manipulation, and low self-esteem. Now, one of the things about this card is, the term itself, marrying maiden. It's like, what does that even mean? But here's a little history lesson. In Chinese culture, the term marrying maiden was a metaphor for the custom that Chinese custom that a man could take an additional wife. I think normally we would call them concubines. And this woman would be taken for his pleasure. She had no real status. She had, so she had no real status in the household, and her position was contingent upon her usefulness to her husband. Wink, wink. Doing a little bit more research on this, often it was, in the hopes of producing that male heir. So, for example, if an older man had yet to, his original wife was unable to produce the male heir, he would take on one of these younger women. So maybe they could, squeeze out a little boy for them. This practice was apparently pretty common, but it really put the woman in a very bad position, because if she wasn't able to continually, like I said, prove her usefulness, make sure that everybody was happy, then, well, she's got no status. Just chuck her off to the side, and that's not good either. So here it says that the marrying maiden, this is bringing about an awareness about inequality, subordination, or somehow unconsciously allowing oneself to be put into an inferior position in relation to others. It kind of, the book itself describes a few more situations where you may have realized that you got used, that perhaps you compromised what was truly important to you, and now you get to wake up to the fact that, oh, I guess I have to be honest with myself. I kind of did this to myself. One of the most painful aspects of facing the truth is that you risk finding out that you have sold yourself short by entering into agreements that in no way reflect what you really want or need, and it seems either difficult or impossible now to get out of them. So if this is the case, you have to reflect unemotionally on how you cooperated in the seduction of what this whole agreement was, and what was motivating you to consent to this. So it's kind of, you got to own up to the fact that you kind of screwed up. I believe in some circles they call this the, F around and find out. This may be the find out month, which is not pleasant, but isn't it good to know that, okay, now that we know the situation, we now have the information to know how to go and fix things, down the road. Says here, the only way through this uncomfortable feeling is to go through it. You just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. This too shall pass. Breathe. It's not great, but hopefully people will start to learn from this. Now, this focus line 5 is a real good one. It says it can be embarrassing to take responsibility for having been taken for a ride. But that was you standing out on the highway with your thumb out, wasn't it? The silver lining is the cloud to the silver lining to the cloud that might be hanging over you right now is that you've grown not only older but wiser because of this experience. Don't squander the lesson by carrying any residual embarrassment or defensiveness into the future. As I said, you made your bed, you now get to sleep in it. Or you know what? Get up, change the sheets, and choose differently the next opportunity. The last card, and again, I'm wanting to preface this with, I have some of my viewers who get a little bit freaked out when some of these things come up, and they're thinking, oh no, this is terrible. Number 47, oppression. Okay, oppression sounds terrible, but there really is that silver lining in there. So the image on this card, it looks like a small, maybe child, or early teen, or maybe of just a very, very small person with their head down, kind of at an angle, at a silhouette, so you can't see the face, dark hair. They're looking down into their hands, and there is a beautiful light emanating from the hands and all around. But also what's all around is, it looks like a massive amount of birds, big shark beaks, maybe vultures. They're possibly in a forest. And so this person is surrounded by these really scary birds. The words on this card are restriction, exhaustion, depression, depleted resources, feeling cut off, punishment, and confinement. The trigrams on this are kan underneath, which is water, and then dui above that is yin metal. And this is very much of a line 3 internal card, but as you're starting to see, okay, well, how is this external stuff affecting me on the inside? How can I address this massive amount of emotion? So anytime water is present in any of these trigrams, that is all about the emotional reaction of this. So oppression. Just as nature unfolds in cycles of contraction and expansion, so does the journey of the human. Times of oppression can feel like being confined to a dark cell without windows or even a door, but that's when you have to hold on to the light within. In the yin yang symbol, people have seen that, where there's the black comma with a little dot of white in the middle, and then the white little comma part with a little black dot in the middle. That is to symbolize the fact that in even the darkest moment, there is the possibility of light, and in even the brightest of happiest of moments, there's that little warning of things might have to go back to being a little more quiet. So that's that whole balance thing. So yes, we have this oppression piece right here. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light within the darkest moments. Any situation that you face in relationships or in work, in the inner world of feelings or the outer world of mundane tasks or affairs, can be approached from the life-affirming or a life-negative standpoint. It is the life-affirmative approach that embraces the whole rather than drawing the lines that divide good from evil, darkness from light. Every dawn contains the seed of darkness, and in every darkness has its dawn. So when you truly understand that one, that's when you can really grasp what's going to come your way. So number 3, the focus line on this says the feeling of entering a second childhood can be full of wonder and innocence, but a second adolescence can drag a person into all kinds of theatrics and temper tantrums. If you find yourself complaining and feeling sorry for yourself more than challenged and full of life, then perhaps you've entered the wrong time capsule by mistake. It might be prudent to reset your watch so that you can keep that appointment with adulthood. I just thought that was so fun and clever. And it's a really neat idea to think that, hey, we've got this little time capsule. When I'm doing work with coaching clients, doing the intuitive work with them, we do sometimes do a fair amount of inner child release work. But I think it's also really neat to talk about that inner adolescent, the inner teenager, because the teenage time is about breaking free. It is about seeing who are you supposed to be following. How can you appreciate the small things in life? Are you selling yourself short by following the wrong teachers? And if so, maybe that might be why you kind of are feeling a little depressed. Anyway, it's always kind of fun. But here's something else that, I noticed when I was, preparing everything for this. On these trigrams, 3 out of the 4 cards had Zhen, the trigram. This is thunder. This is also associated with the dragon energy. This is that last little bit of that magical element. When thunder, this thunder trigram, Zhen, comes in, it can symbolize the ability to take more of initiative to do things, about new beginnings. But it also, when we've all pretty much experienced what a big thunderbolt feels like. It's shocking. It shakes the world. It can be a little bit destabilizing. So because that was present in 3 out of these 4 cards, I just wanted to let you guys know that there may be some rather abrupt shifts happening. We had Dui, which is more of that, they call it the lake. It's more of an open trigram. This showed up in 2 of the 4 cards, or excuse me, also 3 of the 4 cards. This is a little bit more relaxing. Again, open, that's the trigram. It's about conversion, about optimism, about kind of being willing to, explore the unconventional, and being more open to other ideas. So we're maybe we can be a little bit more open to each other this month. The other 2 we had in here was Gen, which is the mountain trigram. It's about kind of being real blunt. That's the one that the yang earth, it can feel a little stick in the mud, like, this is how we're going to do it, which is opposite of that whole, joy, the joy open piece. And then Kano, I think I already mentioned, with the oppression that was part of that card. That can feel chaotic. It can feel like when your emotions are in turmoil, that it can feel like you've dropped into a hole. So no matter what is happening this month for you, always remember that you can change your mood on a dime by shifting your focus, by looking for the joy, by finding those things that you can address. And maybe it might be as simple as turning off the TV. Maybe it's as big as joining some other movement that supports what you are really going for. But no matter what, Drink lots of water, expect change, and always look for the helpers. I hope this helps for your January of 2025. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.